So in this video, we're ranking every single devil fruit from worst to best. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get right to the video, guys. By the way, guys, what is your favorite devil fruit in Blox Fruits? Let me know in the comments below. We'll be checking them out. All right, so real quick, I'm just going to list off all of the fruits I think are not good enough to be on this tier list. Feel free to argue me in the comments below and say why you think that these fruits shouldn't be here. In my opinion, these fruits are kind of doo-doo butter. They don't really have any redeeming qualities. Even though you guys may be good with them, it doesn't really make them good. It just means that you're good at PvP. But these fruits in the bad tier are going to be Kilo, Spin, Spring, Spike, Falcon, Revive, Gravity, Paw, Barrier, Chop, Rubber, and Bomb. So all of these fruits will not be on the actual tier list because I feel like there's no point in talking about them. And let's get on to the tier list now. All right, so let's get this tier list started off with the Smoke Fruit. Now, the Smoke Fruit is not that bad in all honesty. There are obviously much better fruits in this game, hence why this is going to be in 21st place. But there are also much worse fruits that are in the actual bad tier. So for being such a common fruit, you can get much worse, and it can actually be pretty good for grinding in the first sea. Like you guys can see, look at that damage output. Pretty good for being such a common fruit in all honesty. Now coming to 20th place is going to be the Flame Fruit. Now you guys may be asking, why is Flame on here not in the bad tier? Well, as you guys can see, Flame does do a really good amount of damage while also actually having decently low cooldowns, and of course being a Logia fruit, so nobody can M1 you at all. So I think that Flame is very simply just not a bad fruit at all, but it's nothing amazing either, hence why it's basically on last place on the actual tier list here. But look at that Hell's Core ability. Big fat balls of fire, you know what I'm saying? Now coming to 19th place is going to be Diamond. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, the main reason why Diamond's going to be here is because pretty much you can use Diamond as a sword main, just activate the Encrust ability, and instantly have damage reduction. So when you combine this with something like Fish V4 makes it so you take 0 damage entirely, and if you use something like Angel V4, I do think that if you use this with Lay and you use Angel V4, you are literally unkillable. Like, actually unkillable. You will never ever die. But when it comes to the actual abilities of Diamond, they're really bad. You're only going to be using Encrust from Diamond, which is why it's going to be so low on the actual tier list, because I definitely think that just being a damage reduction kind of fruit definitely makes it so it's not really as good as it could be otherwise. But I definitely think the damage reduction on it is quite good, and that's why it's actually going to be on the tier list. All right, so coming in 18th place is going to be the Sand Fruit. There's not really much to say about this other than basically Sand Coffin. People use it for combos just because it is an insanely long stun ability that does actually can break. All of the other sand abilities aren't really worth mentioning just because they're basically just worse versions of other actual fruits. But Sand Coffin itself is an insanely good combo ability, hence why Sand's going to be a decent amount up on the tier list. All right, so coming in 17th place is going to be the Phoenix Fruit. Now, Phoenix Fruit, I mean, like, in all honesty, there are significantly worse fruits in the game. Like, let's be real here, Phoenix, it does do things, and even though it may not do these things very amazingly, it does these things fine, in all honesty. I'm just gonna be honest, when it comes to Phoenix Fruit, I guess I'm kind of just bad at Phoenix, which can play a part as to why it's so low in the tier list. If you guys feel like Phoenix is better than where I put it, that's perfectly fine. I perfectly understand why you would put it so, like, if you would put it higher on the tier list. But I don't really see any redeeming qualities of Phoenix because it doesn't do combos as well as other fruits. I mean, it definitely looks sick. It's a sick fruit, and it actually does do healing quite well, but it doesn't really have any redeeming qualities in my opinion. It's just kind of there in the game. The Awakening is very cool though, so I'll give it props for that. Now coming to 16th place is actually going to be the Quake Fruit. Now I myself am a big fan of the Quake Fruit just because the abilities are insanely easy to land. It's by far one of the easiest fruits to combo with, especially with God Human and Spiky Trident. Basically it makes Quake unbeatable when it comes to actual PvP. So you guys may be asking, well, if it's so good at PvP, then why is it so low on the tier list, you know, compared to some other PvP fruits? And quite frankly, it's because the ability cooldowns are kind of like, I think that they're kind of like unjustifiably long. Like, especially when it comes to like Air Crusher and things like that. Most of the time, you're just going to be running around waiting for ability cooldowns to come back up if you miss your combo. If you land your combo, congratulations, you're doing fat amount of damage. You're doing the fattest damage in the world. You're doing damage so fat that it's like it could be Big Mom from One Piece. Like, you're doing some fat damage. But if you don't hit the combo, you're gonna be waiting around for 10 years, sucking on your thumb, trying to get your cooldowns back. So I definitely think Quake's cooldowns bring the fruit down a lot. But if you're really good at landing your combos, you are an absolute god with Quake. All right, so coming in 15th place is going to be the Spider Fruit. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I absolutely love Spider Fruit. I think the Spider Fruit is by far one of the coolest fruits in the entire game, just because of the actual visual abilities. Now, you guys can disagree with me for that, but I love spider fruit. I also think that the actual silk prison move is insanely good for sword mains, combined with the fact that you can have some pretty insane damage output with the actual abilities. But in all honesty, I do think the damage can be quite lackluster when it comes to the spider fruit, and it's mainly just going to be a combo fruit. Even though you can swing like Spider-Man, look at this right there. That's very, very cool. But in all honesty, I do think Spider does deserve 15 places because it is a very combo-based fruit. Now, coming to 14 places is going to be both the ice fruit and the dark fruit, and they're both going to be here for the main reason. It's just going to be because they're both insanely good for sword mains. The reason for this is, of course, because basically both of them have the ability to allow you to stun people infinitely into sword combos. Basically, what you do is you run up on someone, and this goes for the dark fruit as well. You run up on someone, you go in, teleport to them, absolute zero them, and then you cold storm them, and then you just use the sword combo on them. It's really that simple, and it is a completely true combo that you can only get out if you can after they use the sword ability, because the absolute zero can break you. So in all honesty, when it comes to actual ice and dark, I definitely think that they're very, very good for sword mains, but they're not going to be that high on the tier list just because this is a overall fruit tier list and not a sword main fruit tier list, if you know what I'm saying. Like, insanely good for sword mains, but for actual usability of the fruit itself, not very much. Now, coming to 13th place is going to be the love fruit. Now, this one may be surprising to some people, but quite frankly, I think the love fruit is honestly kind of broken for PvP. So not only do a lot of the abilities actually stun and can break, but you also have the ability to summon pretty much an NPC to help you. So you can pretty much 2v1 people by just pressing the V button. Besto friendo on somebody, summons a friend. Look at this right here, man. Nice and girly, but we do actually, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, there are definitely significantly worse fruits in the actual game, and being able to summon an NPC to help you, especially if you have no friends whatsoever, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, it's pretty great. Combined with the fact that you could, like, get an NPC in your back and ride off with it, I just think this fruit is honestly really fun. It's a really good fruit as well. I definitely think it deserves the 13th place on this tier list. Now, coming in 12th place is gonna be Rumble. Now, admittedly, Rumble is probably, like, one of the only fruits in the game I have, like, no experience with. The only experience I have with Rumble is from people going bink, bink, bink with the electric flash like this, and basically just running away from my combos. Now, I do know that Rumble is insanely good for sword mains because Rumble, pretty much every single ability of it stuns or allows you to escape combos. So, I mean, like, Rumble, I do think is an insanely good fruit. You see a ton of bounty hunters with it. If you guys think Rumble should be higher on this tier list, I agree with you. I think that there are definitely cases to be made for it being higher on the tier list, but I'm just quite frankly not comfortable enough with Rumble itself to warrant, like, putting it on the actual higher up in the tier list. Like, I can't tell people to use it if I myself don't really know how to use it. So if you're actually a big fan of Rumble and you're mad as to why it's so low on the tier list, please don't be mad. Just understand that I don't use Rumble. I'm not a Rumble user, and I understand that it's an insanely good fruit for PvP. Now, coming to 11th place is going to be Magma. I definitely think Magma definitely earned this high up on the tier list just because it is insanely good for sea beast hunting. It is one of the highest DPS fruits in the entire game, if not the highest DPS fruit in the entire game. Maybe beat out by some of the newer fruits, but Magma definitely still holds its own. And for sea beast hunting, it is quite literally the best. So I definitely think it deserves 11th place on this tier list for that alone. The coming to 10th place is going to be the light fruit. By far one of the best fruits to actually have in the game overall, just because not only is the fruit pretty decent for PvP in all honesty, just because you can spam it really hard, but having one of the fastest flight abilities in the game allows you to fly around very easily. And this is by far the best fruit to have in the first C and possibly even second C in the game, because even in the unawakened version, it is insanely good, combined with the fact that the actual abilities are not that bad. You can use it for PvP, and quite frankly, I do think there are much worse fruits to have than the actual light fruit. Like, when it comes to light, like, you're doing some damage amounts, and you have a pretty decent combo potential with the actual fruit itself. So you could get much worse. I definitely think light is deserving of being in the top 10, even though it is not nearly as rare as the other fruits. And yeah, now coming in 9th place is going to be both Leopard and Control. Now you guys may be asking yourselves, why are these on the same tier? They're not similar fruits at all. Well, the reason why is because they are both going to be majorly here for PvP reasons. Now, Leopard has them fat leopard only combos that do tons of damage just by spamming the actual abilities, combined with the fact that when you go into the transformation, basically Leopard, the reason why Leopard's so popular as a fruit is because the fruit itself is basically an entire combo, and you can just spam the abilities and basically be a god at PvP by doing so. Now, you may be asking, why does that relate to Control? Well, Control is kind of very similar when it comes to that. So I do actually have control here. So basically you just want to, whenever you have the control area, a lot of the abilities you kind of just spam. And even though I will say the control abilities are very cool, by far control probably has one of the absolute coolest abilities of all time. But let's be real here, it's kind of spammy in all honesty. Like you guys know what the control area allows you to do really weird stuff and things like that. But it's basically just kind of like a combo spammer, just like Leopard is. So insanely good for PvP, but that's about it when it comes to these fruits. Now coming in 8th place is going to be the Shadow Fruit. Now the Shadow Fruit is mainly going to be super good for the actual V move. Now one of the downsides to Shadow is you have to charge up the Umbra meter, but fortunately you could just do it really quick to NPCs, as you guys can see. And the actual abilities of Shadow are surprisingly good. But you guys may be asking, oh, why is Shadow so high on the tier list if it has like one really good move? Well, even though it only has one really good move, pretty much all the other moves allow you to combo very effectively. And Shadow is by far one of my favorite fruits in the game as well, so I'm a little bit biased, I must admit. But Corvus Torment, this move right here basically allows you to one-shot combo people pretty easily, because it's a Ken break and it allows you to combo people. It's just an absolutely insane move, all things considered, and the move alone kind of carries Shadow to being an absolute S tier, you know, I almost said bloodline, S tier fruit. But without Corvus Torment, it's very kind of like meh tier. It's very mid without Corvus Torment, so it is very reliant on the ultimate to actually be super good. All right, so coming in 7th place is going to be Blizzard, and for some reason, I don't know why, but Nuberton came into the party today. This boy is ready to party, and I'm kind of a midget, so I don't know what's going on. But Blizzard fruit, let's be real here, it's coming in 7th place just because it is actually pretty decent for grinding. I don't have any points into fruit right now, but as you guys can see, the AoEs on this fruit are pretty good, all things considered, combined with the fact that it actually is really good for PvP due to having 2 Ken breaks and having an escape move that also allows you to grind very easily. So all in all, Blizzard, you know, even though it is my favorite fruit in the game and I'm a little bit biased towards it, pretty much anyone you ask that actually has ever used Blizzard fruit can confirm it is actually pretty good for everything. It's a good all-around fruit in all honesty. Now coming in 6th place is going to be the Portal fruit. This fruit is one of the single best fruits to have in the entire game in general. If this was just in general tier list, just what fruit should you have on the side, it's going to be Portal. I would always recommend have Portal leveled up to 200 and have a bunch in your inventory that you can eat at any time if you don't have the permanent version, just because being able to teleport anywhere whenever you want it is so useful. It is unreal, combined with the fact that Portal is actually pretty decent for PvP. You know, it's not going to be anything amazing, but the actual V ability combined with the Z ability do allow you to do some fat sword combos, and you actually can escape with the C ability. This ability right here is going to be why Portal's so high on the actual tier list. I'm going to go to Ice Cream Land. Well, guess what, bro? I just teleported to an entirely new island by one click of the button, and it's not even a long cooldown. So this fruit itself, insanely good for traveling, and I definitely heavily recommend getting Portal leveled up if you guys don't already. The coming to 5th place is going to be the Dragon fruit. Now, I'm not really going to talk about this that much just because you guys probably know why Dragon is just so good. But basically, once you get Max Fury with Dragon, it allows you to spam all the abilities. Not to mention the fact that even while at a transformation, you can basically spam Heat Wave Beam and do tons of damage to people. Heat Wave Beam is pretty much where you're going to be spamming all the time when you're out of actually the Dragon transformation, because you just spam it. Ken break, it's kind of like Leopard Z move, has a huge AoE attached to it. Really easy to use in all honesty. Now, like I said, kind of like the best part of Dragon does happen when you use the transformation, which I will use here in a second when that actually comes. But I mean, like, there are definitely much worse fruits in the game in all honesty. But yeah, like I said, transformation, you get damage reduction, and pretty much what people with Dragon do is they just spam the Dragon moves over and over again, because with the damage reduction, it's really hard to take damage, and quite frankly, it can be very hard to kill you. It's a very good bounty hunting fruit as well, because of the reasons I mentioned. It's just really hard to hit you. Basically, you can just fly backwards while spamming the abilities on people, and there's not much they could do because you are flying up in the air. So they have to one tap you with damage reduction on your part, plus whatever V4 you might have, because V4 can be activated during Dragon Flight. So Dragon is just overall a really good fruit. Now coming to 4th place is going to be the Spirit fruit. Quite frankly, one of my favorite fruits in the game, just because of the absolute raw damage output it has. Pretty much, if you spam all of the moves of this actual fruit, you could one-shot people pretty easily. I do think one of the main reasons why people just don't really use this fruit that much is because, you know, people don't really know how good it is. But trust me, when you see someone that's good with Spirit, you will wish that you're not playing Blox Fruits anymore, because they will absolutely demolish your butthole, man. Like, it is crazy how good Spirit mains can be. And I definitely think Spirit is by far one of the best fruits in the game, just for pretty much anything. It does insanely high damage output for actually grinding, so it can be useful for grinding. I'm not saying it's good for grinding, but it can be useful. Combined with the fact that the actual absolute insane damage output allows you to team on people. If your teammate is using something like Blizzard, they press Blizzard VC, and then you just end of times them, they're dead. They're pretty much instantly dead. So Spirit's insanely good for teaming. It's insanely good for actually just PvP in general, and can be useful for grinding. So coming in third place is going to be Venom. Now, I think Venom is one of those fruits that you either love it or you hate it. When you combine Venom with Cyber B4, it makes Venom into quite literally an unbeatable mass of just spam. Pretty much with Cyber V4, you could just spam all the different abilities, combine them with Toxic Fog, Cyber V4 on top of that, and then use anything like God Human or things like that, and you will pretty much one-shot people. That's why you see tons and tons and tons of bounty hunters using Venom, because the actual ability Toxic Fog itself is insane for bounty hunting, because it actually allows you to break Ken, it allows you to do more damage, and when you combine with Cyber V4, it makes the AoE damage around you combined with Cyber V4 pretty much one-shot people entirely. It also has the escape ability, which people do use from time to time, Serpent's Wrath, and this wouldn't be a Venom tier list on a tier list without showing you the epic transformation it has. This makes it absolutely insane for factory grinding due to the massive AoE it has, combined with the fact that pretty much every single move of it is AoE. So for factory grinding, this is probably the best factory fruit in the game, and factories can get you insanely good prizes. So I definitely think it's worth it just for that, and I definitely think third place is very solid for Venom. It's one of those fruits that you definitely want to max. Now, you guys probably expected this, but coming in second place is going to be the Dough Fruit. Now, I'm dressed as Katakuri himself. Look at that brow right there, that fat brow you got going on. Boy's looking more angry than the Kool-Aid man. But when it comes to the Dough Fruit, you guys kind of expected it to be here. This fruit itself is insanely good. Combined with the fat combo potential has, even after being nerfed, by the way. It's been nerfed so many times and it's still insanely good. There's a reason why every single server you go into, you see a Dough user in it. It's an insanely good fruit. It's insanely noob friendly as well. And if you're actually good at the game and you use Dough, you're just that much better than noobs using it. Now, I do actually know a pretty decent combo. I'll show you guys real quick in case you guys want some of these fat skills. So basically all you're gonna need is Dough, Spiky Trident, and God Human. All right. Let me show you these fat combos. So pretty much you just want to start off with Dough Fist Fusillade on somebody, wait until they get close, Pastry River them, hit him with this one right here, and then you guys want to Dough Hurricane down. I messed up the combo. I'm not the combo king of Blox Fruit yet, but you get it. Dough Fruit's insanely good at comboing. No need to make fun of my comboing. I haven't PvP'd in this game for like a little while now. Just trust me when I say it's an insanely good combo fruit, and it's really good for boss grinding as well. Not so much normal grinding though. As you guys can see, this boy is preventing his cheeks from getting slammed by me, and he's just an NPC. Now coming in first place, probably as a surprise to absolutely nobody, is going to be the Buddha fruit. Even though I think Buddha is a very nerd fruit to PvP with, like, you're kind of a nerd if you use Buddha for PvP, I just have to say that this fruit is absolutely amazing. The fact that it's even usable for PvP, let alone actually being pretty decent for PvP, means that it's an amazing fruit, because it is quite frankly the best grinding fruit in the game, with no other fruit to be even like comparable to the Buddha fruit. Just because of the fact it's so good at grinding, it makes it #1, but combined with the fact that it actually is annoyingly good at PvP, makes it insanely good as a fruit. Now, if you guys don't play Blox Fruit and you're watching this tier list because you want to know what's good, Buddha is good because it extends your M1s and gives you damage reduction, and the way it extends your M1s makes your M1s absolutely massive, like huge. Like, it's almost impossible to miss your M1s unless you're actually bad at the game. But yeah, Buddha Fruit #1 pretty easily. Anyways guys, that's actually going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, but subscribe, comment below what videos you want to see in the future, and hope you see you next one, guys. Peace.